The sun burned through the canopy, casting sharp, jagged shadows across the forest floor. Rabbit stood atop a mossy log, his ears snapping toward every rustle in the undergrowth. He bolted, kicking up a spray of dirt, and circled the ancient oak 3 times before slamming his feet into the earth. He stopped, chest heaving, as Tortoise emerged from the ferns. The sound of a heavy shell dragging against dry leaves cut through the silence. Rabbit lunged forward, planting his feet firmly to block the narrow path. "You are an insult to this forest," Rabbit shouted, his muscles coiled and ready to spring. "Every step you take is a waste of time." Tortoise halted, his neck retracted slightly, his gaze fixed on the ground ahead. "The destination matters more than the pace," Tortoise replied, his voice steady. Rabbit let out a sharp, mocking bark that echoed off the trees. "A race. Right now. From this oak to the riverbank. If you lose, you stop blocking my path forever." Tortoise nodded once, his expression unchanging. "Agreed." The air grew heavy. Rabbit paced, his claws digging into the soil, while Tortoise remained motionless, waiting for the signal to begin. Squirrel climbed a low-hanging branch and signaled the start with a sharp chitter. Rabbit vanished into a blur of motion. His paws barely touched the grass, his body a streak of kinetic energy tearing through the clearing. Within seconds, he reached the halfway point. He skidded to a halt, kicking up a cloud of dust, and turned back to scan the path behind him. Tortoise was barely visible, a tiny brown speck near the starting line. Rabbit let out a sharp, dismissive snort. "Pathetic," he muttered, his heart rate already settling back to a steady rhythm. He scanned the area and spotted a patch of soft, lush clover beneath the shade of a willow tree. The breeze rustled the leaves, cooling the air. He trotted over, circled the spot twice to pack down the grass, and curled into a tight ball. He tucked his nose against his flank, feeling the heavy, smug weight of absolute victory. The race was already won. He closed his eyes, letting the rhythmic swaying of the willow branches lull him into a deep, heavy slumber. The forest remained still, save for the faint, rhythmic crunch of gravel underfoot. Tortoise moved with a singular, mechanical focus. His heavy shell shifted with every measured stride, his eyes locked firmly on the distant, shimmering line of the river. He did not deviate. He did not look left or right. He simply maintained his pace, a slow, relentless tide against the silence. As he reached the shade of the willow tree, the air grew cooler. There, curled in a tight, motionless ball, lay Rabbit. His breathing was deep and rhythmic, his ears flattened against his neck in total, unguarded rest. Tortoise did not pause. He did not slow his stride to observe the sleeping figure, nor did he quicken his pace to celebrate his progress. He simply continued forward, his clawed feet pressing into the earth with unwavering consistency. The distance between them vanished with every passing second. A sudden, sharp cheer erupted from the riverbank, cutting through the heavy afternoon air. Rabbit bolted upright, his eyes snapping open. The forest was bright, the sun had shifted, and the silence he had left behind was gone. Panic surged through his limbs. He scrambled to his feet, his heart hammering against his ribs like a trapped bird. He did not look for tracks. He did not check the path. He simply launched himself forward, his legs churning, his claws digging deep into the dirt to find traction. Every muscle burned as he pushed his body to its absolute limit. He sprinted, his breath coming in ragged, desperate gasps that tore at his throat. He cleared the bushes, vaulted over a fallen log, and rounded the final bend of the trail. The riverbank came into view, crowded with the forest animals. Their voices rose in a deafening chorus of approval. Rabbit skidded to a halt, his paws sliding through the loose sand as he fought to stop his momentum. He froze. There, at the very edge of the water, stood Tortoise. He was motionless. His front claw rested firmly on the finish line marker. The race was over. Rabbit stared, his chest heaving, as the reality of the moment settled in. Rabbit's legs lost their drive. He slowed to a heavy, uneven walk, his head hanging low toward the earth. Each step felt weighted, the adrenaline fading into a dull, throbbing ache in his muscles. He approached the sandy bank, his breath coming in ragged, shallow gasps that rattled in his chest. He stopped a few paces from the finish line. He looked at the marker, then at Tortoise, who remained steady and calm. The forest animals fell quiet, their earlier cheers replaced by a thick, heavy stillness. Rabbit did not speak. He did not offer an excuse. He simply stood there, his gaze fixed on the ground, the weight of his own folly settling over him. He stepped back, his movements slow and deliberate, and finally surrendered to the silence of the forest.